And I heard the same thing. It's well, I got one person here who can do a class. I just need a partner who would come and help. I don't know how many. I'll bet 75% of the hospitals that I talked to said that to me, and none of them had TNCC mandated because they couldn't mandate it because they couldn't get their people to class. They wanted to have it mandated, but they couldn't. So I'm kind of looking at, you all know your schedules and how busy you are in that, but be mindful of those type of people out there. I'm talking to this group here as a body. And if there was a critical access hospital out there or a small acute care hospital that you could partner with at some point to do a class, maybe one a year or something, I think that would help them immensely. So that's out there as well as a possibility of trying to increase the education at these rural facilities. They see trauma patients. You know, there's no doubt we see it at the state level. In fact, it's really rather alarming how many start there because there simply aren't enough trauma centers in the area. They have to take them somewhere. They're not going to drive up 80 miles to get to a trauma center. And to think that they have really no trauma education, I just think this is one of those things that if we really put a little bit of effort into, that we can impact the mortality and morbidity of trauma in Ohio. So that's kind of the gist I'm with. And just like a lot of us have motherships that help us out, this is our turn to pay forward. And if we can help a critical access hospital or an acute care hospital with education, even a freestanding, I think that really speaks well what level 3s do. So, all right, any comments on that? That was a lot of rambling for that, but any comments?
Diane, it's Jenny Brodsky. Is there? I love the idea of us working together with other hospitals and helping out. Is there any way that our group can just partner? Like, do we have enough instructors to even take one place on and start small and get within our group to get TNCC done?
You're talking about within each program to take one and start there? I think that's a great way to start. I don't think through your.
I mean, maybe we identify one part of the state, or I don't know, like that's really lacking, and we all take turn, like we could all work together. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that too. This is a couple little nuances here because of the dynamics. This is just like family relationships, it's got dynamics. But first of all, if you have a level 1, go to some of these critical access hospitals, and they're not going to relate.
Agreed.
To them because they don't live in their shoes.
Agreed.
Where level 3, we live in their shoes. Mm-hmm. We know what it's to be rural and to not have 1,000 resources at the snap of your finger, So that's one thing. So I think they relate to us better. I think that's a great thing. I kind of look at it that, like, I always like to think of the region or the state in regions because it's an easier bite of the pie. The state is the whole pie. Now, I could probably eat a whole pie. I'm not denying that, but the regions are a nice bite. And when you look at the level 3s, how they're dispersed throughout the state, it does put some regions really can, I think, probably have enough level 3s that they can take care of themselves, that they can do this. Some will need help. There's no doubt. Because like maybe you're the only level 3 in your region, and you're super. I'm thinking specifically Southeast. Down there Genesis Land and down there Zanesville, and it would be a task to take on all the small hospitals down there. So I don't know. I'm open as far as talking from a state person here. I am open for any suggestions y'all have that if there's a way we can even start small and kind of ramp up, I think that's a good thing. It's better than what we have now, which these people they know they're hurting and they know their nurses are kind of looking like deer in headlights when something like this comes in, and they really don't feel they have the power to do anything about it.
So I'm wondering, it's Alex. I'm wondering if we could, kind of piggybacking off of what Jenny said, um, kind of even through OSTNL or the level 3 group, because we all, I mean, most of us are TNCC instructors or course directors and so on, and even do the virtual class or like a hybrid class and all come together and offer it, essentially volunteer our time to into where we could offer it at cost, maybe. So it would be a lot cheaper for the center, and then even have like, I don't know, some type of application process. Like, these are the certain requirements that have to be met in order to get this class from us at cost. It would be, the rural centers, and we could put a couple criteria on there just so it's not anybody and anybody, everybody can try and get in on this virtual class, but it's geared towards people that don't have the access or the funding. And then we could hold a couple courses. Like I said, they have the virtual option through TNCC now. I mean, I think some people love it or hate it, but it's there. And then that would allow us to get instructors from across the state through our level 3 group and not have to travel to hold the course. So I was kind of thinking about that when Jenny was talking.
I think we may be onto something here. I think that's got possibilities. Plus, it then familiarizes people with who we are.
Yeah.
They can start putting a face to a place, and it's like, oh yeah, she helped me out with TNC. She was one of those instructors. I think I could call her and she could help me. And maybe it starts a relationship.
Yeah.
That maybe wasn't there. And I think this I didn't think of it in that way, but see, that's why I love you guys. Is you take where I lack vision and you fill it in. So, but I think that's a great possibility.
Yeah, I think that could really work, and that ties in with even ENA trying to get the TNCC access out there, so we could get support from that side too, and even get instructors that might be interested in doing the classes on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
I have one other maybe too big of an idea, but what about all of us who do like some trauma education on a certain topic? I don't know, make it up, whatever it is. Why couldn't we offer that to a group of them? Even, let's say you're talking, I don't know, even offer besides TNCC, like, do you want to join us for our MTP lecture or our shock lecture? Or, I mean, now that we have teams, I don't know, that might be smoking. I might be smoking here. I don't know.
I like that. Now, I like that idea, like holding even like our kind of like our education series, but not geared towards trauma programs, but geared towards just trauma education.
Right.
And anybody.
And thinking about what they see and what resources they are, gearing it to that.
Yeah.
Not to, a place that's got, like, none of them are going to have blood in the ER. I can tell you that. Most of them will not have platelets. So, doing an M.
Yeah, that's not appropriate. I'm sorry, that's what I'm working on right now. Sorry, this is what came to my brain. But,
I think that has some great potential.
I mean, just our struggles, getting patients a CAT scanner, recognizing the sick person in the corner who doesn't really show you, all the struggles that we've all had, sharing some of our tips and tricks. So.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up, Dean and Brian are helping me put together a document. I'm going to present that at the next trauma meeting, which is September 12th, somewhere in there. So I'm going to present it then. And then, but this will now be a new caveat I may throw in, that we're investigating this possibility. And I think that was the whole goal of this grant, when we first put it out, is who's got great education, who really needs it, and who can't get it, and how do we help them to get it? And so this is just beautiful, the ideas you guys are coming up with. So I love it. Very good. All right, so maybe for next meeting, maybe let's try to just kind of get in your mind, maybe mull that over a little bit, and like what kind of subjects are, first of all, yeah, it's really a twofold kind of homework assignment. What kind of subjects do we think would be imperative to teach them? And secondly, what TNCC as a group, how would we want to do that? See what kind of you can get an idea of the mechanics of that, how that would work. So kind of mull that over for a little bit. Sometimes if you're like me, if you sleep on it a little bit, you come up with a better idea than if you just jump in head first and plug your nose, you know. All right, any questions on that? Okay, excellent. All right, ESO issues. Who's having issues with ESO?
I don't think we've had any other than I can't stand trauma base and can't wait to get rid of it, but that's not really an issue. I don't think we've had anything new.
Okay. I can tell you that just in meeting regionally, there will be. This is kind of, they kind of got a monopoly now.
Mm-hmm.
ESO, and as such, as what tends to happen when people have a monopoly, you know, the goal is not usually to see how easy I can make it for all my people. It's usually let's, you know, kind of stick it to them a little bit. But our region got a bill for like almost $4,000.
Oh wow.
For customization and, you know, those type of things that used to be a standard thing as part of the previous contract with CDM. We had a certain amount of customization we could do, XXX up to this amount, and that was considered part of our maintenance. Well, they broke that out, and that is now cost per hour of the work time for them to do it. And it was like $4,000. So we're trying to decide what to do with this. Like, how do we do this? It's going to end up, obviously, you know, crap runs downhill. So eventually it's going to go down to the hospital levels. They're going to have to pay more to be part of the regional system. And that's a little concerning to us. We have voiced our displeasure with that. But they were not, we even tried to negotiate it down a bit. And it was like, no. No, if anything, it'll go higher. So, anyway, I didn't know if anybody else was seeing anything like that.
I know I've heard rumor that it was going to be more packaged and a cost for everything and not customizable for sure. But I haven't I don't know if we've even, my biggest issue with billing from ESO was they were sending my invoice to a registrar that hadn't been the registrar for 10 years. So then we were delinquent and they were sending me, finally I started getting nasty grams like 6 months later, and it's like, yeah, you were
fine you for those.
yeah, right. But that was about almost a year ago at this point. So I'm wondering with that new town hall that's coming up, if we're going to start seeing those changes.
Okay, well, that we may just be the first one that's experienced this within our region. You know, we are, if so, I mean, what lucky dogs we are. But I have a feeling that we will not be alone in that. That you all will see something like that eventually down the line. So, just a little heads up so that your administration, you can tell them, well, this isn't a big shocker. We've heard this is happening in other regions. So, all right, good deal.
I can't imagine they would only charge one region, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's
I don't
coming.
think we're that special.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're just first.
Yeah, they started with Region 1, and there you go.
Right.
So, all right, very good. All right, next is, this is a question I had from a program manager that works in an area where they have a lot of ECFs. And so they're getting a lot of these, obviously, fall patients. We all know how that works. They're getting these fall patients that are DNRs that come in with GCS that is already in the toilet. And do you activate alerts or not on these patients? Because you're not going to do the resources that you would do for a patient that's not a DNR. So what are your thoughts on that? She was just putting this out, and I'm kind of pondering it. I'm thinking, okay, what have we seen here? Do we have cases like that? So I'm just kind of curious what you all have. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because offhand, I would say a lot of times they're probably not even aware of a DNR status, but because it's so quick to activate, now maybe downgrading or canceling once they find out it's a DNR status, maybe, but I feel like usually we probably still activate just because unless you literally when they make the call, they say they have their paperwork in hand.
Right.
I think
so this would just be for the known DNRs. Known DNRs.
Yeah.
So you know it's a DNR. The nursing home calls you. It's one of those nice cases where they actually call you a report, okay? Before the patient gets there, okay? I know this is like Cinderella land or something, But so they called you report, said she's a DNR. We found her on the floor. She's got blood coming from her eyebrow. She's hit her head, and she's out of it. She's unresponsive. So normally, fall, hit your head, unresponsive, GCS tanked. We're going to call level 1. But this patient's a DNR. She's 98 years old. Okay. What do you do with that patient?
I think at Westchester, we probably still would activate if we know they're on anticoagulations and have I just think we would probably still activate. I know Erin, my ER person, is on. Erin, what do you think? I feel like we still activate.
I agree. I feel like
Yeah.
I can't think of a case where we specifically knew in advance there was a DNR. That might cause some discussion, but I can think of some cases that we found out were DNRs, and yeah, I think we still probably would activate unless it was crystal clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, I was trying to just sit here and think about like what resource would you still benefit from by having the activation even with the DNR, and I'm just thinking along the lines of, it's the DNR is probably not in place in case I fall and hit my head and have a head bleed. It's probably because I have other things going on. So this is an acute thing that's happening on top of what I already have. So depending on the type of DNR you have, of course, then you go down the rabbit hole of that. But that quick assessment, stabilization, and then, they have a DNR. Okay, well, we're not going to necessarily do all these other things, but the activation and assembling the team and getting people on board, I probably would feel like that still should happen. But I can definitely see, the centers that have less and less resources, it's harder when, okay, you're calling the surgeon in from, 2:00 in the morning on a patient that he's going to do absolutely nothing with. It's a good topic for discussion for sure. I would go with what Jenny and Erin said too. We probably would still activate and then make, as things kind of settle out and figure out exactly what's going on, then there's the decision of, okay, well, we might not transfer them. We might keep them here because they're a DNR, or we, they're not going to go to ICU. They're going to go to a med surg unit or something like that.
Or hospice or something.
Yeah, hospice.
Okay.
I feel like it would probably, to say not to activate it could start getting complicated, more complicated than not activating. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Here's a branch off question of that. What do you all do? And this is one I just thought of because we have this all the time. It's crazy. You got the dementia patient, okay, whose normal GCS is 10, okay? On a good day, when whatever neurons he has left is firing pretty good, okay? They fall, hit their head, and come in with a GCS, let's say 9, okay? Just a little off. What do you do with that patient?
We've actually had that before, and they didn't activate that patient, and we never really came to a hard conclusion because I think we actually talked about changing the criteria, or adding to the criteria of a change of 2 or more GCS points from baseline. So if it was that he was normally 10 and now he's 9, then no. But if he was 10 and now he's 8, then that's the difference. So putting in kind of a parameter from their baseline compared to just a hard number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea, doing GCS that way.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's always a problem I don't care if you throw the best medical care at them, you're never going to get above 10. So it's not like we're trying to preserve and improve the GCS. So therefore, do we activate alerts on those patients and call a team in for something that really they're SOL right from the beginning? It's not going to happen. So, interesting. So back to the DNR patient. So if you activate a level 1, then you downgrade it and X and X and X, then that person still becomes part of your database, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just trying to make that clear. So
this is Kristen. I have a question even further than this, Diane. We've had problems where we've had DNRs and you do all this, whether you activate the team or not, but then they're in the ED and they're still a DNR and they have this head bleed, which they would require ICU. And there's always the dilemma, do they go to the ICU or do they go to the step down because your treatment is still nothing? Or you're not going to do surgical intervention once neurosurge evaluates it. Do you guys ever have those kinds of questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had
that. Yeah, those people won't go to ICU for us.
Yeah, we would put, as Jenny, we would put most of those people in the step down, and we might even put them on the med surge unit, depending on the kind of conversations we've having with the family.
Okay.
Now we do admit those patients to. Are you saying they actually have head bleeds, right?
Yeah.
We actually admit those to trauma service, and each one's a little bit different. But yeah, most of those patients we would not take up an ICU bed.
Yeah. And this even extends just to the basic hips. I know that sounds stupid, but like even your hips, but your person who has multiple comorbidities, they fall and break their hip. And, obviously you're doing it more for palliative care, but you do all that work. They go to the OR and then they put them back onto step down versus the ICU. And, everybody knows that 24-hour mark, they don't do so well because they didn't get that ICU care. And there's always argument about this because then they end up, passing or, and it's like, well, geez, if they would have gotten that better ICU care, maybe we could have given them over that hump. And it always comes down to, well, they were a DNR. And I'm like, well, that's still not an option for like not providing them the appropriate care.
Yeah. So us two, we have tons of hip fractures. I'm sure like the rest of you, we do all trauma consults. We round on them. We don't take them off our list until we know they're stable. We rescue those patients all the time, the trauma service, from all kinds of bad orders, and make sure their hemoglobins are stable. We've spent a lot of time on those patients.
But those patients are still going to the ICU either
No,
post-operatively?
we mostly put them in step down.
Okay. That's good to know. I'm sorry to branch off on that, Diane. It's just, you bring up a really good, valid point on the DNR.
Yeah, I think this is all things that I don't think anybody's unique in this. I think this is stuff we all see. So it's great to have these questions, and it's also nice that we kind of see what everybody else is doing, and maybe we can develop our own kind of informal standard of care, you know. So, all right, I like that. Very good. All right. Usually about every meeting, we have one of those quirky things that either somebody brings to me or I got enough quirky things of my own, I guess. So, all right, education. Alex, you want to update us on our education?
Sure. So, as you guys probably already have figured out, Carly has stepped down from her role as TPM, and Ashley has now taken over. Carly's moved on to a director position with an orthopedic group down here, so we're super excited for her for that. So, all good things. But of course, she was just recently taken over as chair for education, so now that seat is open. So we will be at the big meeting, we'll talk about potential for nominations for chair for the education. So if you are interested or thinking about it, of course, I'll be around to help whoever's taking that seat through everything and support you guys. But we do need a chair, an education chair. So if it's something you're interested in, we'll be doing nominations, or if you think there's someone in the group that would be great at it, we'll be talking about nominations later today. The only other thing I have is our education with the trauma narrator. That last session was pushed back, so we will be still planning to have our education session in September. So it'll be the first week of September. So you guys should have your standing invite for that, and it'll be our first session on the trauma narrator. And that's all. That's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Open forum roundtable. I always like to have at least 15 minutes to do this. We're a little short today because I was fighting the tech gods. But anybody got a question or anything you're seeing that's unusual? The group is open for you. Go ahead and ask.
I have something really quick, and it may open a can of worms, but maybe if people want to send through email, you can. But we just had a meeting amongst our trauma programs this morning about OPPE, and about one of our centers recently had a consultative visit, and they did bring up the point of trauma programs needing to be involved with the OPPE, not only for trauma surgeons, but also for the specialty providers, including, of course, ortho, ED, ICU intensivists, and so on. So I'm not sure if anyone has a good document or process for that, but just want to throw that out there. If anyone does have anything, if you guys want to shoot it over to me, it's Alex. Or if anyone has anything they want to throw out there right now really quick before we switch over, they can.
This came up with our survey, and how we handled it was Dr. Millar had access to all that. If they asked for something specific, we would share it with them. We were not allowed to send it via virtual, though UC Health wouldn't let us do that. But we did have a way to pull something up if we wanted to see that, if they requested to see that.
So was the hospital OPPE, or
Yes.
was it trauma?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the hospital, because when you look at that, it really doesn't just say trauma. Mm-hmm. If you look close, I think in the past I've only showed them the trauma OPPE, and so that, I don't know how that came up, but we were kind of ready for that question. They did not ask to see anybody else's, but I don't think you can judge this visit we had as a normal visit. You know, I think there will be harder questions in the future.
Yeah. So does Dr. Millar, did he review like the ED physicians, or did the ED do their own OPPE? And he just signed off on it? Was he involved in the process at all?
I'll have to ask him specifically about the ED. I know he was somewhat involved in the surgeons because he's was the director of surgery.
Yeah.
But I can clarify with him about the ED physicians.
Okay, we can talk more about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what we did was we trauma put its thumbprint on their OPPE, and in addition to all the other indicators they have to meet, we threw in some key trauma indicators like surgeon response time within 30 minutes. So for all the surgeons, that's a column on their OPPE that they have to click. They have to fill in and meet that criteria. Same thing with like meeting attendance and yada, yada, yada. So that's one way we did it, where we could incorporate to show that we were looking at we were a part of their OPPE.
Okay. Yeah, I think we started talking about that, but about adding to the main OPPE because they do it through the electronic system. So
yeah, basically we just added to their dashboard.
Okay.
Is what we did with trauma indicators of what we needed from them, and that became part of their evaluation was based on to this. So
Okay, that sounds good. Thank
all
you.
right, anybody else got something?
It's Ashley. I was just going to chime in. We do our OPPE for all of the covering trauma surgeons, and then we gave our liaisons. Dr. Chow does do a little bit of OPPE with the liaisons, and then we gave a form for the liaison to go over with any of their covering physicians.
Okay.
Okay. Ashley, would you be willing to share a blank template of that form, or you ask Dr.
I
Chow?
sure can. Yep,
Okay.
I'm back in the office on Monday. Yep, I'll send it out to you when I'm in the office on Monday.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right. Hey, I gave you 2 minutes before I started your meeting, Alex.
Perfect.
Oh, man, you can just hold that right there.
Right. Yeah, that's more than enough time.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining in with us, for your conversations, and that. It's always I always look forward to it. It's like my super favorite meeting of all time. So, thank you, and see you at OSTNL.
All right. So just so everybody knows, we're doing the Respond Registry demo right at 10 o'clock. So in 2 minutes, it is a separate link. So hopefully everyone is able to switch over to that second link without any issue. I sent out the invitation through Outlook, and I also email I sent last night. The link is there as well. So you'll have to sign out of this meeting for the demo and then come back to this meeting for the rest of OSTNL, which I know is a pain. So apologies for that. But just so everybody knows, it's going to be a flip-flop. So I will see you guys here soon.
Okay, hey, Alex, this is Diane.
Yeah.
If I have trouble getting in again, can I just call you on your phone?
Yeah.
To listen in?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Bye.
All right, bye, guys.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Has the meeting started yet?
I think we're waiting.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad somebody spoke up. So I know I'm not the only one sitting here.
Is there still people on this link?
I'm here.
You know what? Somebody just told me, I know there was a new link sent out, but when I click on the new link, it's still giving me this meeting, and apparently there's other people in another meeting.
Oh,
So I'm leaving this one and trying to figure out how to get into another one. So,
all right. Thanks.
bye-bye.
All right, good morning again to everyone. I will wait a minute or so just to make sure people are able to cross over and get in. I think, see, we have 32 people so far, so it looks like a good majority is crossed over. All right, can you guys see my screen in PowerPoint form?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yes.
All right, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. So new members, any new members today before we kind of do a roll call here? I know we have a couple new people and new changes.
This is Jenny at Mercy Health St. Rita's.
Mercy Health St.
Um,
Rita.
Yeah, I am transitioning out of my role, and Colin Worthington is going to be my successor, and he's here with me today. And I'll go
Okay.
ahead and send you his email so that you
Okay,
have that.
perfect. Welcome,
Thank
Colin.
you.
Anyone else?
Hi, this is Ashley Miller. I'm the new trauma program manager at Grandview Medical Center.
All right. Welcome, Ashley.
Alex, it's
Hi, my
Jenny
name is.
Brodsky. I have my PI coordinator on, Aaron Ward.
Go ahead.
Welcome, Erin.
My name is Claire Howe. I'm not new, but I'm the PI coordinator from Soin, and I'm here in place of Amy. She's out of office today. So this is my first meeting though.
Awesome. Great having you, Claire. I'm glad we've got some PI coordinators on here because I have you guys on the agenda to talk about today. So it's awesome. All right, so I'm gonna run through, and sorry, for some reason I only have one screen right now, so you'll have to bear with my weird dual screen going on here. Hopefully it's not showing up for you guys, but I'm gonna go down the list. We'll just kind of do some quick intros since we have a couple new people on. So I have Andrea Elliott.
Hi, everyone. Trauma Program Manager at Metro Health Parma.
Andrea Light.
Hey, this is Andrea from Mount Carmel East, Level 2 in Columbus, and I believe our PI coordinator, Tammy West, is also on the line.
Amanda Applin.
Hello, this is Amanda Applin. I'm the Trauma Program Director for Toledo Hospital, the Level 1 Adult, and eBide Children's Level 2.
Ashley Rashawn.
Good morning. This is Ashley Roshan. I'm the trauma program manager here at Genesis.
Jenny Brodsky. I don't know where Jenny went. Maybe we'll go on. We know Jenny's here. She talked earlier. So Kristen Calkins.
Hi, it's Kristen Calkins from the University of Toledo Medical Center.
Okay. Melody Campbell. Oh, Melody, I think you're muted, but it's not saying you're muted. That's weird. All right. Well, Melody is the trauma program manager at Kettering Medical Center, for those that do not know. Christina Nickel. Christina's on. Okay, Danielle Rossler.
Good morning. I'm the trauma program manager for the Northern Ohio Trauma System.
All right. Deanna Pace. Okay, Marianne Edwards. Lost my list.
Good morning, everybody. I'm the trauma program manager at Hillcrest Hospital, east of Cleveland.
Scott Eli.
Hello, everybody. This is Scott. I'm the director for trauma and burn at Ohio State University.
Good to see you, Scott. Scott, I sent an email I sent kicked back, and I'm glad to know that you're still around. I didn't know why it's kicked back, but I'm glad you're here.
Hey, no worries. Yeah, feel free to try to resend it. I know that we've been having some IT issues as a result of various other problems.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Otherwise, you can always call me too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Perfect. Elizabeth Garcia.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's see.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm on phone. I don't have cameras, so you can't see my face, but good morning. My name is Liz, and I am the Pediatric Trauma Program Manager at Metro Health in Cleveland.
All right. Barb Felton.
Good morning, it's Barb Felton. We are on level 3 at Marietta Memorial.
Okay. Lynn Haas.
Hi there, trauma program manager, Cincinnati Children's Hospital.
And Claire Hardman.
Good morning. I am the PI coordinator at Atrium Medical Center.
Claire Howell.
Good morning. I am the PI coordinator at Soin Medical Center in Beaver Creek.
Okay. Itzy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, this is Itzy Ray. I'm the trauma coordinator at Western Reserve Hospital, level 3 in Cuyahoga Falls.
Heidi Jenkins.
Heidi Jenkins, Ohio Health Mansfield Hospital, level 2.
Joyce.
Trauma program manager at Cleveland Clinic Mercy Hospital in Canton, level 2.
Julie.
I saw things saying Julie Warholic doesn't have a microphone.
Oh, maybe that's okay. Good to know. Judy Keefe. Kendra. I think there's a lot of mic issues today for some reason. Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello. Okay, it's Kendra. I'm currently the program manager for SUMA Akron City, but I will be transitioning over in the next couple weeks to Ann Moss's position. I will be over at Children's as a trauma coordinator over there.
Congratulations, Kendra.
Thank you. Don't have a replacement yet. So.
Marianne Landfried.
Morning, Marianne Landfried, trauma coordinator here at St. Joe's Warren Hospital. We're an adult level 3.
Okay. Beth.
Hi, everyone. It's Beth Larson from Miami Valley Hospital South. We are provisional level 3.
Jenny Lemick.
Hi, it's Jenny Lemick. I am the trauma program manager at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center.
Michelle Taylor.
Hi, I'm Michelle Taylor. We are Level 2 Trauma Center here at Lima Memorial.
Ashley Miller, which I know you introed already, but
Yeah, hi, I'm Ashley Miller. I'm the trauma program manager at Grandview Adult Level 3.
and Monique.
Good morning, everybody. Ann Monig, the trauma program manager at Miami Valley Hospital in Dayton. We're an adult level 1.
Kelly Owens.
Good morning. I'm the trauma program manager at Mercy Health in Lorraine, level 3.
Sandy.
Hello, I'm Sandy Crossley. I'm the trauma program manager at University Hospitals of Cleveland. We're an adult level 1.
And Sherry Nusky.
Hi there, sorry about that. Sherry Nusky from Altman Hospital in Canton, Level 2 Trauma Center.
Sherry.
I'm gonna apologize now because I have to relocate offices in about 20 minutes or 10 minutes, so I'll be moving around a little bit, but I'm gonna try to stay with you.
Okay. We have Sherry Johnson. All right, Sherry Kovac.
Good morning. Sherry's here from the Central Ohio Trauma System.
Diane Simon. I know Diane is on my phone. So Diane, if you want to unmute, you can. I've got you.
Good morning. This is Diane Simon. I'm program manager at ProMedica Defiance Regional, level 3.
Jennifer Snyder.
I am here, Alexandra.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Bernie.
Hi, Bernadette Chinkelski from Fairview Hospital. We're a level 2, and we just hired our new PI coordinator, so I'm thrilled.
Hey, awesome. And Robin. All right. All right. Is there anyone else that's on that hasn't introed themselves yet and would like to do so?
This is Jenny. I'm on. I was trying my new iPods, so I'm still learning. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's make sure there's nothing in the chat. If anyone, since I only have one screen right now, so if anyone sees anything in the chat, just shout it out. I just see right now, Lynn says she's on the phone. Lynn Horton from Rainbow Babies and Children's in Cleveland. But so I'm going to close this out. So if anyone sees anything in the chat, feel free to shout it out. All right. So I did send. Oh, go ahead. Someone.
Hey, Alex, Robin Valatka, she's on from Cleveland Clinic, Akron General, level 1.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so the minutes were sent out this morning. If any, I would like a motion to approve the minutes. If you guys had a chance, we can take a second to look through them if you guys need to. And I'll take a motion to approve.
Alex, this is Ann Monig. I motion to approve the minutes.
All right,
I can second them. This is Itzy Ray.
Thank you, Itzy. All right. Moving right along. Treasury report. Kristen?
Hi. Yep. Hi, it's Kristen. I believe, Alex, I sent the report out to you guys.
Yes.
So if people can just review it. Again, just reminding everybody that it is based on institution. So I know there's been some changes. So if you see that the institution is paid your 2020 dues, you're good. I know there's been lots of changes in people's positions. And then I also sent out the report for the last couple of months. There hasn't been a whole lot of activity. We've had to pay some things for the Website. We've had to do the tax filing for nonprofit. You can see we had a retiree, so we sent some flowers. I've had a couple of dues come in June and July. Otherwise, the next big payment will be for the Microsoft, which I'm trying to work with Jason because when I tried to do it, the bill is there, but then the screen kind of crashes. So he's kind of going to be helping me next week, so that will be paid. But it's based on the number of members, which I think we have 7 for that Microsoft.
Yeah.
And
that
otherwise, go ahead.
Just throw into for that, it'll we have AOTR combined, so then we'll be paying the full bill, and then AOTR will be paying us back for it. So just so we're not having to do 2 separate accounts through Microsoft, so we will be getting in on that
payment. Yep. So right now, our current balance is $37,946.46. So I know it's August now. Come October, I will start back up for I can't believe I'm saying this, the 2022 year of applications.
Oh, wow. So I do have the list up of hospitals, and don't freak out if you don't see your name and you know you paid, because I updated it very, very quickly. So if you don't see your hospital and you know you paid, I didn't get a chance to cross-check this PowerPoint with my main list. So just shoot me an email and I'll double check it anyway, but it should be pretty close to everyone that is currently paid for 2021.
And if anybody has any other things or needs to reach out or wants to pay their dues, feel free to contact me as well.
All right. Ohio TQIP Collaborative. I know Leanne had a conflicting meeting this morning, so she is not able to be on. And for those that don't know, Leanne works there out of Nationwide Children's, did take over for Ann Moss as chair for the Ohio TQIP Collaborative. I know they did have a group meeting, not for the big group, but for kind of the chairs of the subcommittee groups a few weeks back. Melody, I know you were on that. I was only on for a couple seconds. I don't know if you're able to give any quick updates about Ohio TQIP at all, or at least with your with VAP.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay! Okay. Yeah, we met yesterday, the acute kidney injury group, and we had a meeting. It's probably been 2 weeks ago now, with different individuals from the different work groups with Lee, and just to get kind of started and regrouped. And we will have an Ohio TQIP meeting on September 14th, which is a Tuesday. It's at 1 o'clock. So if you are interested in that, attending that meeting, and you did not receive an invite, you could probably go ahead and let me know in the chat, and I can forward that to Leanne. I think she's still making her master list of who should be included. The AKI group, Judy is on that as well. I didn't hear her in roll call, but that group's doing really, really well and has a nice flow sheet to help trauma registrars with identification of acute kidney injury and standardizing that so that you can perhaps understand that a little bit better. That will be discussed in the Ohio TQIP meeting, and then discussed at the AOTR meeting, the next one. So that would be the October meeting, to see if folks find it easy to use, is it helpful, that kind of thing. So the VAP work group is kind of in a holding pattern until that statewide meeting in September, because the project became a little bit cumbersome and not a lot of folks involved. And so we're going to be kind of regrouping in that September meeting. The other 2 groups, the COVID and isolated hip fracture, I don't know, Alex, if you know more about those groups. I'm not involved in those.
I know Julie is on with the isolated hip fracture, but I know she doesn't have a mic. So I don't know if anyone else from isolated hip has anything.
Yeah, Alex, this is Ann.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Ann. We have a meeting Tuesday the 10th at 2 o'clock.
Perfect. And then the COVID work group, pretty much that work group is closing up, so we'll probably be removing it from the list. We finished the surveys. We're working with the regions, and I think just finalizing some of that data, and then we'll have a full compilation probably to send out to you guys at the next meeting. All right. Move right along. ODPS, I don't think Eric is on unless he hopped on it since the very beginning. But I did send out on the liaison report that Melody put together. Eric does have that there was a second extension that was given out from the state for Q1 reporting. So now the data will be due by August 31st of 2021 instead of the June deadline. There's also, if you are interested in getting any trauma related issues or news from the state, there's a link on that liaison report to click and make sure you're added on the subscriber list. They are not using the old subscriber list that Natalie once maintained. So if you need to add yourself back to that subscriber list to get any trauma updates, do that through the link on the liaison report. Does anyone else have anything just from ODPS? I don't think that's all he has in his updates. Okay.
Hey, Alex, sorry, this is Ann. So just to catch you up, Tina Nickel put in the chat that she's on from Metro Health Adult Level 1. She had to step away for a second, so she missed introductions. And Judy Keefe's mic isn't working either. So I think all of us are having microphone and speaker issues.
It is. Okay, thank you, Ann. So moving on to State Trauma Committee. I know, Diane, I think it's on you.
Okay. Yeah, Julie's not on today. Actually, the State Trauma Committee did not meet in July. We had quorum issues. I think starting July 1, all meetings had to go back to Columbus face to face, just as legislative. Once that emergency COVID order was lifted, that took away the virtual aspect of all state meetings. So everything is back in Columbus again. And I think people are having trouble transitioning back. So July, we did not have a meeting because of quorum. We're hoping September looks a lot different. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. MFATS board. I don't think Stacy is on. So Diane, it'll be you again.
Yeah, and I missed the last EMS board meeting because I was on the beach. So
good excuse.
I know it's no excuse. It's pitiful. But no, I mean, that's all. I really don't have anything to report on that either.
Okay. All right. OIPP, the OIPP from the documents from the last meeting are in the email that I sent out. The OIPP meeting is the same day as OSTNL, so they're having the meeting right now. Barbara, I don't know if there's anything you want to throw in there or anything to point out from the documents.
The only thing I really have to point out is that there is a fall symposium. It's a 1 day and it was free. It should be in those documents that I sent out.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it's the end of August. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. STN, I don't think Shannon is on either. So I don't know if there's see if there's anything on the liaison report.
She had nothing to update. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And Committee on Trauma, Ohio Committee on Trauma, I don't think there was anything either from Tina. Pediatric Trauma Society, Lynn?
Just not much. It's going to be the yearly conference is going to be held in Baltimore this year in November. And just the other subcommittees of the PTS are going forward. That's about it.
Okay. And Danielle with ORTOC? There's
Hi guys.
document.
So just a little bit of an update. So we met a couple weeks ago. Metro Health will be the IRB of record for the NIFTY project, and Metro Health just deemed it's not going to be human subject research, so that kind of had to change gears of what we thought if there was going to be reliant reviews for all the hospital systems that were going to be a part of it. So that kind of changed. So we sent the letter and a little email for the hospital systems to send to their IRB for their next steps. If any of the hospitals need help with an IRB process, Olivia will send out a PDF of what she put in the IRB, so it's a little easier for those who want to participate. So once we get some more hospitals and all the IRB approval, then we'll start doing some data collection, but that's not going to be for a while. The validation project 2.0, I believe it was discussed at AOTR last month. That's just kind of at a standstill because they still don't have the state data yet. The other thing, we started talking about the regional data dictionary, and that is housed with Dina Moore, and the data regional managers have been getting together and discussing making a one regional data dictionary to help with the uploads from ESO pretty much with like the NTDB, TQIP, state, all the changes every year. So they met for 3 hours, I believe, on Wednesday and had really great discussions about that. And that's pretty much it from ORTOC at the moment.
And then AOTR, the report is, their report out is on the liaison report. But just a quick recap, they did send out a survey to the AOTR members about meeting preference. I did talk to Deanna about potentially coordinating at least one, if they are going to in-person meetings, at least coordinating those meeting slots together. So I'll have to get with her on the survey results for her and then get something out to our group so we can kind of be on the same page, especially since I know a lot of people typically carpool. So we'll try and kind of coordinate with that on moving forward with meetings in the future. They are working on sample job descriptions for trauma registrars and registry managers, supervisors, so they can have kind of a repository of job descriptions. And then the education committee is working on their next OTR course, which will be virtual in October. Lastly, they're looking at a functionality on their AOTR website to take electronic payments as well.
Hey, Alex, it's Ann again. Tina Nichols stated her mic's not working either. There was no OCOT updates. And if you could on your slide update Ragoni, it was her maiden name. And if you could update it to Nickel, Nickell.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that, Tina. We'll get it fixed. All right, so education subcommittee reports. As you guys kind of have figured out, Carly has moved on from the trauma program manager role, and then of course has stepped away from her education chair seat. And Ashley is now the new trauma program manager at Grandview. So the education chair is open, and I have it on the agenda a little bit later to talk about nominations. We did make the education chair an official seat, so it is something that we'll need to have nominations and be voted on. So kind of start thinking about potential nominees once we get to that in the agenda. I would love to have any of our previous president-elect candidates, if they are interested in looking at the education chair, kind of come to the plate to run for the education chair, or even being on the education committee. It's a great opportunity, and we'll be kind of just revamping once again with the committee and kind of figuring out which direction to go with our future meetings. So that's pretty much it for education. We're kind of paused just briefly. We are still planning the education session for September for the trauma narrator, still planning to hold that. So that should be on your calendars already for our existing series. And that's it. Level 3 group, Diane.
Level 3 group met just before the presentation by Respond. and we had some great discussions. We're still looking to pilot the NIFTY analysis for the level 3 spreadsheet. So we're still finalizing out some of the logistics of that so that it doesn't overburden any of our centers. We, as a state, are winding up the rural education work group that was built off the workplace competency survey, or excuse me, research that was done through the state trauma committee. And we're pretty, got some great ideas there as far as maybe kind of a hybrid education piece that can be used for critical access hospitals and acute care hospitals that really desire to have more trauma education in their departments, but do not have the means or the staffing to do that. So we're working on a plan that to help those facilities, and we think the level 3s probably will, just as the level 1s help the level 3s, we feel the level 3s will pay forward and help these acute care hospitals and critical access hospitals. And that was about it.
Okay. Right. PI committee. So I have Leanne on here. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm not 100% sure if Leanne is taking over for the PI committee in addition to TQIP. I think I assumed she was. So I don't know if anyone has that's confirmed or not. But I know the meeting, of course, would be after OSTNL today. However, they did bump it back a week, and it's actually going to be a virtual meeting because apparently since it's a subcommittee, they don't have to follow all the rules as the main state group, so they can make some adjustments and actually make it a virtual meeting. So the next PI meeting is actually scheduled for next Friday now. I do know at the meeting after our June meeting, we did review the annual report, and there were a couple of discrepancies that were discovered on the draft of the 2020 annual report. It seems as though almost every region other than the Columbus area, the data was off. And it kind of started, we kind of figured that out with the firearm injury report. The numbers just looked really, really skewed. So I know Eric was taking it back to their team to dig in and figure out where the issue is, if it is an issue with what the state is receiving, or if it's an issue with what they're reporting or how they are reporting. I did work with our region a little bit because the Cincinnati area, the numbers were definitely off significantly. And it seems as though even there's some variance even with what was submitted from the region to the state as far as end numbers. So I know Eric was working on that. I don't have an update on the current status because it's probably been several weeks since then. So I don't know if anyone else has anything to throw in on that or if they've gotten any more information, but I know I think that'll be one of the big topics at the meeting next week as to what to do with that report and if they figured out why the numbers were so off. I don't know if anyone else that was on that meeting has anything to add on there. All right. So we'll move on to website. Andrea?
Good morning. I really don't have anything new to report for the website. You guys already mentioned the work we're doing to get Microsoft up and running. So really nothing else to report. Just please let me know if you guys ever have any suggestions or anything for the website.
And I know I did send out with one of the last member requests about job descriptions, kind of similar to what AOTR is doing with theirs. I think it would be good for us to maybe start building a document vault of some of the items that we're sending out, because a lot of times the requests are pretty similar every couple months or so, especially when newer programs are starting or newer program managers come on board, a lot of the documents that are needed are similar. So we can probably, Andrea, get together at some point and maybe try and build a little section so we can, as we get some of this stuff, we can start adding it to the members only section so people can access that.
I think that's a great idea. You know, STN and TCAA have things like that. So I think that would be an easy thing to do. I think we could also potentially, once we have our Teams account, you know, have file folders and drop in there too.
In there too, yeah, exactly. So we can work on that. So moving on to new business. The PI coordinator meeting. So we talked at the last meeting, and I wanted to set up a meeting with the TPMs and the PI coordinators before this meeting, but I wanted to set it up in conjunction with the last education series. So since that got canceled, that kind of threw a monkey wrench in things. And I know we went back and forth on, do we wait until more PI coordinators are hired to start the PI coordinator section of OSTNL, or do we do something now? And to back up for those that are new to the group and or new to the meeting, traditionally, most of the time, OSTNL has largely been the trauma program managers, and then every now and then we will have PI coordinators that attend. But now with the new requirements that hopefully will be coming out soon, most centers are going to be required to have PI coordinators. So we thought it would be great to incorporate PI coordinators officially into the OSTNL group. We did update the bylaws to be more inclusive. So we wanted to make a branch of OSTNL to accommodate the PI coordinators, but there was discussion on, do we tack that on to this meeting? Does there need to be a separate meeting, and so on? So those were kind of some of the things we wanted to discuss at that meeting. So really, I just wanted to bring to you guys thoughts on scheduling that. Do we want to tack it on to the next OSTNL meeting and just invite the PI coordinators to the next OSTNL meeting? Do we want to do it a little sooner than that and tack it on to the next education series, which would be in September? Or would you rather have a totally separate meeting? So just kind of throwing those two options out, or really three options out to the group, and just to get some feedback on that. And this is just a planned meeting.
Alex, this is Mary Ann from Hillcrest. I think tacking it on to the education meeting in September would be great for a planning meeting, and then maybe they'll be able to join us then for the October official meeting.
I like that idea. Anybody else?
Alex, this is Lynn. You know, it might be a good idea to think about, once we start up, to have maybe an in-person with the PI coordinators. You know, it's hard sometimes to get a lot of rapport when you're totally distance, but it might be, and it's just an idea to throw out, it might be nice to have something on a one, everybody get together and then kind of build a rapport and some ideas once it gets started.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. All right, so I think if no one has any alternative ideas, we can, I'll try and send, I'll use that same link to for that education committee and just send a reminder out to everyone that I have on my list. And then if you are able to forward that on to your PI coordinators, then that would be great. But I'll send something out to remind everyone once we send out the information for the education session as well.
Hey, Alex, do we know how many people have PI coordinators, or how do we know that the numbers yet, or how many are in the process of getting it, or do we know that?
I don't have that. I did. So on the roster, the OSTNL roster, I have been starting to add PI coordinators to it, but I know I don't have a comprehensive list. I probably have maybe 10, 15 names. So I think it would be really helpful if everyone that's on could take a look at that roster and see if you have your PI coordinator listed, if you have one, and then shoot that to me if it's not listed. And even if you don't have one or you're in process, shoot me an email as well. So then I can update that main list and we can really see how many people do or don't.
And last question that I have is this, do you know, and I don't know the answer to this, is this a level 1, 2, and 3 requirement, or what is it going to be? Have you guys heard?
From what I got, it's 1, 2, and 3.
It's everybody?
It's everyone. It's based off of volume.
It's everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's everyone.
As long as you have over
Good.
500.
Good.
Yeah. So the centers, the level 3s that see less than 500 wouldn't be required, but I think I feel like people could still use that to their advantage to try and get one. But it did, yeah, include 3s. All
Hey,
right.
Alex, this is Ann. Just to clarify, so the September meeting, are we just gonna get together TPMs and PI coordinators to talk about how we want to move forward? Is that what we're doing after the education session?
Yes, I think it's just to discuss, do we want to actually get everything up and running now and start planning, actually having meetings even before the end of the year? Or do we want to wait until, do we want to just kind of start planning now, but then not actually start really implementing anything officially until, 6 months or a year out or so on? So yeah, just planning. Getting
Okay,
feedback.
great, thanks.
Hey, Alex, quick question. You might already have this in the works, but can we do the presentations again if anybody would be willing to do them for the 2022 update for the dictionary, maybe even spread it across like a couple of the meetings?
For as far as the education sessions?
Yeah, for the new
Okay.
update data dictionary.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I'll make a note of that. For the dictionary. Now, for the dictionary, or are you referring also to the verification, the manual?
Did they, right now, I think just the data dictionary.
Okay. Yep. No, we can definitely add that to the list. I think that's a good thing for us to kind of talk through, and definitely would probably pull in, since that has the registry as well. It's a good platform for that.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll get with Deanna on that too, just to see if they may already have something that we can just tag on to. All right. Anyone else on anything as far as the PI coordinator planning piece? Okay. So the ENA TCRN collaboration at the last ENA meeting, state ENA meeting, which was maybe about 2-3 weeks ago now, we had talked about in the past collaborating with ENA, because ENA is wanting to hold a TCRN prep course. And they were debating on whether to do one for CEN, TCRN, or CPEN. They ultimately decided to do CEN and TCRN, and I offered up the option of collaborating with OSTNL on the TCRN piece. So they were all for it and loved the idea of collaboration. Then, of course, I brought that idea to you guys here too, and it was the same response. So just a quick update on that. They officially are wanting to move forward with it. So I don't think they have met yet on any real planning. So once I get that information, I'll get that out to the group and see if there's anyone from our group that wants to help with that planning. I don't think they have any concrete plan of how they're going to go about it yet. They just know they want to do it. So more to come on that. the Microsoft Teams platform update. So the email addresses have been created. We did have a introductory period for 30 days, and now we are officially purchasing the platform. So this is so OSTNL and AOTR will have their own Microsoft Teams platform. And the biggest benefit for that is as we switch out presidencies and secretaries and so on, we still have a consistent email, a consistent platform, and we're working with Teams this year. Next year, we're doing WebEx, and the year after that, we're doing whatever everyone has at their hospital. That OSTNL owns their own, and we just use that. So there are email addresses set up for the president, which will be president@ostnl.org, I believe. So I will probably start sending out some test emails, because I think the biggest concern is I know a lot of my emails don't get to everyone. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll have more luck with this email. Hopefully it's not less. So I will probably be sending out some test emails to the group over the next few weeks, just to make sure that people are getting it and making sure we can utilize the email addresses to their utmost functionality. But the president has an email. And so with that email, we'll have communication, any communication that's going to come from the president, president-elect, or the past president will all just come from that president email. And then we will have the education has their own email, the secretary has their own email, and the treasurer has their own email. So ideally, you'll see email communication come from those OSTNL emails versus everyone's individual personal work emails. But again, we'll probably do some testing on that to make sure everyone's getting it at least as much as they would from the other emails. And then as far as switching over the meeting invite, again, probably doing some testing with that, and then eventually, hopefully for the next meeting, it'll be a new Microsoft Teams invite that will be sent out. That will be for OSTNL. It won't be this current invite. So we'll play with that a little bit as well. But so far, that's all we have for update on there. And like Kristen said, she's working with Jason on the payment plans and getting that all up and running. Respond registry. I wanted to just take a couple minutes just to get feedback from our 10 a.m. demo. If anyone had any thoughts, good things, bad things, anything they wanted to throw out there to the group, and just have a little quick discussion, since we didn't really get a chance to right after the demo. From what I'm hearing, I know a lot of the registrars are really, really, really interested in the product. And that was part of why I wanted to pull in OSTNL on it, because I think you guys might be hearing from your registrars more and more frequently, because a lot of them really, really like the product.
What little bit we got to see, Alex, this is Marianne from Hillcrest. I like the PRQ reports and the ability to take their standard report and be able to modify it or change it, which is something we can't currently do with DI.
Yeah. The drag and drop for building a report was really nice.
Yes, I agree. And I like the live validation. I think some of the registrars, especially like he said, some of the newer ones are going to appreciate that, so that they can fix it right there and then, versus waiting till the end when they do a check and then having to go back in the registry and fix 6 different things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really nice feature too.
Yeah. Hey, this is Sandy. I'm just going to tell you, we use the Respond video system. Both Lynn and I have for years, actually, since we started. The customer support is phenomenal. Mike's not kidding. You can call him and it's fixed before I get back to my office. So
wow.
It is a godsend. They are local. They're in the Cleveland area, but their customer support is phenomenal. So he's not pulling your leg when he says they're there 24/7. They really are.
Awesome.
So Sandy, this is Jenny Brodsky, do you only use the video system then with them?
Currently,
Okay, that's what
yeah.
I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're, in the same boat as everybody else. We're not happy with ESO. It's just, when we looked, and because Mike's demonstrated the registry software to us a couple times, our physicians, quite honestly, are very interested in it. Because they can now, the video process, depending on whether you live stream it or not, can be a little cumbersome. But the fact that they could sit at their desk and click on a computer, that video button, and look at a video without me like traipsing an iron key over to their desk and trying to get it to work, it is something that they were like, absolutely, like, you're kidding. I was like, no, it'll work. So, but it's a process. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, Alex, it's Ann. Tina Nichols stated they're also working with Respond and are about to launch their trauma video recording software, and the company has been excellent to work with. And then Elizabeth Garcia said she worked closely with Mike. He's fantastic, very patient with each hospital's process, and willing to be supported all hours.
So this is Marianne. Is there anybody online today that's actually using Respond Registry, the program, or is everybody just using the video?
So this is Jenny Lemmink, and for UC Health, for Jenny Brodsky and I, we have purchased it to start using it. We have not put it into play yet, but we have purchased it.
And can I ask what software you were previously using, and what was your selling factor that made you want to switch?
Trauma base, and the fact that we have so many additional data points, like 200 extra, and the thought of being charged for every extra data point was just a phenomenal cost. And so we looked for other systems that were available, and we're very impressed with this.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Right. Anyone else have anything? Anyone else have anything on the Respond registry demo? Okay. So piggybacking off of that, I know ESO just recently put out that they are having a town hall. From the way the email read, it looks like this is going to be their big reveal of what's to come with the database, as far as merging all the different databases together and creating a new product. The town halls, I believe, are August 11th and 12th, maybe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know for sure it's the 11th. I'm not sure about the other date. So those emails did go out a couple weeks ago. If you want to get in on that town hall to see what they are offering. I've gotten some feedback that it seems as though they potentially are going to be using the DI platform maybe as their base platform, and I'm not sure how much is going to be built on top of that. So it sounds like there's going to be more of the DI model with the new product, but I don't really, it's all rumor. I don't have any real confirmation on that unless someone else has any more intel than I do. But I had just wanted to put that out there, and if anyone has any more information or speculation or thoughts on the ESO piece and what they're offering, and if they've heard anything about that. Okay. So we'll move on if there's not anything else on ESO. The 2022 NTDB dictionary was just released this past week.
So if you haven't seen those emails, look through your emails or look on the site, because the new dictionary has been put out there. I did send the change log out with the documents I sent out to the group last night. I didn't see anything super huge on there. One thing I did note that is that I was happy about with one of the changes, they did clarify on unplanned ICU admission. They clarified the OR piece. That's something that I know we went back and forth. It wasn't very clear about as far as if a patient goes to the OR after a procedure versus if they had an event in the OR. It just wasn't clarified in the dictionary, and they did clarify that now for the unplanned ICU admissions. So I was happy to see that, because it was a little, the verbiage was a little vague before. But I don't know if anyone else has had a chance to look through the changes or the new release, and it sounds like the UUI ID number, they're still moving forward with that, but it looks like they're even putting in some caveats for adding in some of the regular EMS data. Again, they won't track it in TQIP, but there was a notation about those data elements being available or added back. I'd have to look at the document. But I don't know if anyone else has anything that they want to throw out there about the dictionary release at all. Okay. All right. So education chair nominations. Like I said earlier, Carly has stepped down from her seat as chair, and of course OSTNL, because she has moved on to a director position. So we're really excited for her, but we do have a open slot for the education chair. So does anyone have anyone they would like to nominate? Or anyone that would want to nominate themselves? And you can put in the chat or verbally. Or if anyone has any questions about the position. It's really just facilitating the meetings and kind of helping to drive the education sessions and making sure that the scheduling and that we're continuing to provide education in different topics. But the group supports you in that, in getting everything done and providing the actual content. And I'll say I've done the chair prior to Carly. I did the chair pretty much since we created an education subcommittee, an official subcommittee. It was kind of ad hoc before. And it's a good position to kind of learn the ropes as well, especially if you're wanting to be more involved with OSTNL. It's also something that, of course, looks good to the surveyors if you are involved at a state level and actually have some type of chair seat at the state level that you're doing things there. It's a nice way to break into doing different things at the state level. All right, so I will leave it open.
Alex,
Oh, yeah.
it's Jenny. I'm not volunteering, but I think there's a lot right now. I think with the silence today, I have a feeling there's a lot going on at everyone's institution that's probably not trauma related. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but just the whole COVID thing. And so maybe someone just needs some time to think about everything. So
yeah,
just wanted to say lots going on for most people. So
definitely. And this may be something too, even if once we get the PI coordinators going, maybe them might be interested in taking something like this on as a piece. So we can definitely push it back. We don't have to, I have to look and see how we as far as voting that chair in, if this was the year they would be voted in anyway. I don't think so. I think it'll be the next year. But I'll double check on that. And then if anyone is interested, shoot me an email or send me a message. Or if you want to nominate someone else, and then we'll just kind of keep it on the agenda and keep things going. In the meantime, I'll kind of oversee the education piece and it's going.
Hey, Alex, just to clarify, how long is when the person's elected, how long are they on? Is that a year like the others?
I think it's 2 years.
2 years. Yeah, I know. I couldn't remember either what we.
Yeah. I believe so. I think it's a 2-year commitment. Which of course we won't, chase you down if you have to change positions and have to leave, but we'll typically keep the same seat for 2 years, unless a position changes or you take another seat somewhere else and then it opens up. Okay. All right. So yeah, just go ahead and if you're interested, think about it, and then definitely let me know. The last thing I have on the agenda for new business is at our Dayton Regional Trauma Meeting. It was brought up by one of our EMS representatives that apparently, and someone may know more about this than I do, but that as far as wound packing for EMS, that in the state of Ohio, EMS providers are actually not allowed to do wound packing, which is a little outrageous when we're talking about stop the bleed and we're pushing for even bystanders to do wound packing, but our EMS providers are not allowed to do it. From what I've gotten, it sounds like some other areas across the country have actually pushed for that legislation to change, or those parameters to change. So I figured I would bring that up to our group. It sounds like it was brought up at the state level, but kind of pushed back down and kind of put on the back burner, saying, yeah, we can get to it, but it's not really a priority to change that. So if anyone has anything to add on that can provide a little more insight, feel free to jump in. But I did want to bring that up for discussion because it was something that I didn't even think was out there as an option. If there's anything that we can do as a group to support that legislation or support that change to make it more important than what I think they're thinking it is, then what can we do anything about that, I guess?
Hey, Alex, this is Jenny Lemick. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. I didn't realize that either, but I will tell you, I think that the EMS, at least in this area, just go to tourniquets. We get lots of tourniquets, whether it's, truly appropriate and it's an arterial bleed. A lot of times it's a venous bleed, but at least it slows things down when they put them on. So I have not heard a lot of conversation from the EMS that they don't get to pack wounds. I think the default is, direct pressure. If that's not working, they go to the tourniquet. And so I was not aware of this quote legislation. And I guess I'm just curious what the EMS community is saying, because I'm thinking that at this point, most people are carrying tourniquets. And so I don't fault them for just jumping to the tourniquet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny, this is Ann. I would agree with you. We're seeing the same thing, and we're even seeing a lot of police placed tourniquets as well, and they stay on after transport. So, Alex, I'll add in what David Gershner said at our regional meeting, and he is the MMRS coordinator for Dayton Fire, City of Dayton, EMT, fire department, and all of that. And it said, recently learned at the RPAB meeting that current Ohio EMS scope of practice, all levels. So EMTs to paramedic, will not permit wound packing. Ohio EMS has a scope of practice ad hoc committee that will be considering the inclusion packing. So perhaps that is something that we could state in a letter if everyone is in agreement to possibly support including wound packing in their standard of procedure.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew there was more detail to that, but so I don't know if anyone has any burning opinions on it, either direction. And Diane, I don't know from trauma committee if that has ever come up even remotely on your radar. And if it's something, are we interested in doing some type of letter? Is it something that, I don't know, Diane, if you want to even throw the trauma committee to discuss? I don't know and I don't think that they were going to meet on that very quickly from what I recall.
Yeah, I don't believe so either. He didn't put that in these notes, but I kind of remember from our conversation, yeah, it was kind of out in the open.
Hey, Alex, I know my trauma medical director does not want the dressings used. It creates more of a hassle in the OR when they have to go in and if they're using like these clot factor dressings. So I'm just throwing it out there that maybe if the trauma program managers want to check with their trauma directors to see if this is something that they want used in the field. But I've gotten a lot of pushback from my end regarding these clot dressings. So
that's good to know. Diane, I know you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that this has not been a issue that's been brought before either the state trauma committee or the EMS board. It doesn't mean that it's not out there. So I will put it on the agenda for the September state committee to see what the constituents there feel. If that is a big issue we want to pursue, I can also at that time let them know that OSTNL may be supportive of this if they need a little bit of push from us.
Okay. I think that's good. I definitely think it's a good conversation, especially with those dressings, because I have heard as far as taking a patient to the OR, there's some heartburn with that too. So I think it's good to have that conversation because that's something that probably EMS isn't considering when they're discussing this.
yes, they say it's more of a mess when you take them to the OR. And again, that's just on Fairview, but my previous medical director felt the same way. So I think it would be beneficial to find out what the actual people that are doing in the OR want, as opposed to what EMS wants. I'm just throwing that out there. Thanks.
Yeah, I think there's a way to have that balance.
Is there a recommendation from the American College of Surgeons, since this is their program, the Stop the Bleeding program? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
am I right? Or
for the dressings?
For the wound packing. I mean, it's certainly part of the Stop the Bleed teaching.
We're still going to get pushback from here, but that's just a whole
I'm just saying, like,
because the college wants, bolts and stuff placed for neuro, and that's a whole bone of contention here too. So
yeah, okay.
I think what this is Mary Ann. I think what they're talking about, Bernie, is that wound packing is taught in the Stop the Bleed program, not with clot factor dressings, just like a roll of Kerlix and you pack the abdominal wound and application of tourniquet.
Correct.
Yeah, because I think Bernie brings up a good point. It would probably be good to have a specific definition of what, wound packing is, like you just said, that it's not those specific, it's regular, just packing the wound with a dressing, not those clotting things. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Diane, I'll kind of leave it to you and we'll kind of touch base at the next meeting. I'll just leave it on as something to talk about and see what they say from trauma committee. And then we won't have another regional meeting before then, but we can kind of, if anyone hears of it or hears any rumblings, definitely bring it to the next meeting so we can kind of keep our eye out for it if it's something we need to be involved in.
All right, perfect.
All right. So,
Hey, Alex.
yeah.
Sorry, just to get caught up in the chat. So Melody put out the ESO Trauma Registry Town Hall dates and times, and then Barb Felton had to leave. So just FYI.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you being my chat monitor.
So you are so welcome. It's hard to do with one screen. It's a real pain, so not a problem.
Does anyone have anything for open discussion? Anything they want to throw out as updates about their programs? Any kudos? Anything they want to ask the group? We have about a little under 15 minutes or so. So does anybody have anything that they want to talk about? Any burning questions for the group?
Has anybody heard anything about the grade book coming out for the college? Like a release date?
I know I haven't.
I haven't seen anything either.
Yeah. The last rumor I heard was November-ish, which would not surprise me because that would, my feeling would be it's going to be around TQIP time. So then they'll release the book and then have the meeting to discuss. But that's all theory.
Could be true. Could be true.
Yeah. It made sense to me because they like to release stuff right before TQIP and then talk about it. Anyone else? All right. Any updates from your trauma programs? I know Knott's, I got an email, Knott's is having their symposium, and it's free.
Yeah,
So
it's November 9th.
Okay.
From about, like, I think we start at 7:20 to like 3:15.
Okay. I'll send out that information to the group too, for those that don't have it.
I attended the virtual Knot Symposium last year and it was very good. So I look forward to it this year.
Awesome. All right. Well, if there is not anything in the chat that I don't see and no one has anything to add, I'll need a motion to adjourn.
This is Mary Ann. I'll make the motion.
This is Melody. I will second.
All right. Thank you, Mary Ann and Melody. And so with that, we will adjourn the meeting. And thank you, everybody, for coming on. And again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need anything. We'll see you in a month with our education series.
All right. Thank you. Great meeting, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.